Everyone to the Rotary Club of Seattle, where we are working to build healthy communities. My name is Jan Levy, and I'm serving as your president this year. As we get started, I want to thank Logan Riley for his meeting reporting today. And Mary, I know it might be early, but do we have any guests here?
We sure do. We have Jeremy Ehrlich from Taproot Theater. We have Nancy Pasternak from the Bellevue Rotary Club, and we have our special main guest speaker, Dan Nelson with World Cup Security.
Great. Well, welcome everyone. Before we get to our main program, we're going to hear about a very special event that is happening on February 10th at Taproot Theater, just for us Rotarians. Our short program is brought to us today by the Rotary Special Interest Group on Education and by Taproot Theater. On Tuesday, February 10th, during the month that we will be focusing on education, we're going to be hosted at Taproot Theater to learn about one of their very special programs. There's going to be food, there's going to be drinks, there's going to be actors. What more could we want? To tell you more about the program, please welcome Lori Walker and Jeremy Ehrlich, Education and Outreach Manager at the Taproot Theater. Lori?
Thanks, Jan. So I just wanted to, I am with the Education Interest Group, and I am the co-chair along with Tatiana on that group of that interest group. I'm sure that you're all aware that the local service committees merged together to form a single local service committee this fiscal year. And it's been a great opportunity for crossover amongst the various interest groups, as there has been a lot of overlap, but we sort of worked independently in silos. The education committee, which we're now calling the interest group, is still meeting actively once a month. We have Zoom meetings every second Friday of the month, and we have a dedicated group of about 10 people, and we would love to have other people join us. So if you're interested in making a difference in education for our youth, please join us. Mary always has some information about the meeting on the website. And we're so excited that February is Education Month, and that we're going to have the opportunity to focus on that all month long. It's meant to inform us all about the state of education in our state. You're going to hear from a number of different people. I'm not going to go through some of them, because I know at the end of our program we'll have an announcement about the very first one speaker that's going to happen next week. But I will tell you a little bit about some of the other programs that we're planning. On February 18th, the speaker for our second in-person lunch meeting will be Chris Rechtel, Washington State Superintendent, who will give you a view of the state of education across Washington. On 2/25, our last lunch meeting of the month, which is on Zoom, we're going to have a panel discussion that will involve those working in the schools or advocating for them. This program, I really want to highlight this program because we often hear about things from sort of the 30,000-foot level, and this program will be an opportunity to really hear from people who have boots on the ground and are working in the schools. So an elementary school principal and a nonprofit that works in the elementary schools to help close the education gap. And in Seattle, there's been an education gap for over 70 years. It's hard to believe. The racial, ethnic, and economic gap has persisted for that length of time. I saw a little clip from the Seattle Times that I thought I would just read for you. For at least 7 decades, Seattle Public Schools has tried and failed to address the stubborn differences in education achievement by race. Its many efforts over the years have fallen flat or fizzled without enough funding or without really getting off the ground. So, I mean, there's a wave of people who are really trying to make an impact here, and and they are the people that are going to be on that last panel discussion. In that program, We will outline the challenges, discuss how Seattle schools are partnering with some nonprofits to address the challenges, and also find out how Rotarians and community members can get involved to make an impact. Lastly, as Jan mentioned, we have a really special program that we want to highlight here today on February 10th. We turn to Taproot Theater, where a surprising collaboration between the arts and education, along with the support of the Seattle Rotary Service Foundation, which has given grants to Taproot over the years. We're going to bring a special experience to you that Taproot has brought to Seattle youth in our area. And Jeremy Ehrlich, the Education and Outreach Manager with Taproot, will tell us more about that. Jeremy?
Great, Lori, thank you. I'm really excited to be here and pleased that you've invited me. We're looking forward to this event. We're happy recipients of Rotary grants. As you mentioned, our anti-bullying acting troupe drives around with the Rotary logo on our van as a result of your having helped us purchase that. And now we feel like the actors are safe in a van that will get to their location, which helps everyone feel better. So we're thrilled to be a part of this and to be able to put this program together. We are gonna turn over the theater space, so we'll meet in the lobby, and there'll be snacks and pizza provided for free, and we'll also open up concessions if people want to buy drinks. We'll have a chance to mingle. We'll go into the theater, show you a couple of scenes from our acting troupe that goes into schools and does plays about bullying prevention and other social emotional learning topics. We'll do a couple of quick scenes, tell you sort of briefly about the program and the kind of work we do in schools. We'll bring up a group of improvisers who will do a little bit of improv and give Rotarians the opportunity to get up and do a couple of improv activities with some of our professional actors. Then, of course, have a chance to mingle afterwards with the actors and with us, and to just talk about the different programs that we do. Our touring group dwarfs our main stage in terms of the number of people that it reaches every year. We reach tens of thousands of students with the work that we do, going out day after day performing these plays, and we love to share it with people because it takes place tucked off in schools so often. Um, let's see. I'm supposed to mention that tickets are $20 a person. We have a capacity of 120 because that's how many will fit in our theater. And just very much looking forward to opening up our theater and showing you what we do.
John Steckler is a board member for Taproot. Do you want to say a word or two?
I just wanted to let my fellow Rotarians know this is going to be a fun evening, an evening where you get to watch a play, learn how theater is being used to help young people cope with the bullying that is going on in their lives. You've all heard about it. Young teenagers committing suicide with a big reason being they were just being bullied on social media. We're giving them ammunition here through these plays, how to cope with that, how to talk to people, how to, make sure you don't make a mistake. This is really great work that the theater is doing. Theater is helping our future young people. We're gonna have a great time too. It's funner than heck to be in the theater. We'll sneak around backstage, see what it looks like, behind the scenes. Real pretty in front. I'll tell you, it's kind of little worn out in the back behind the scenes. It's been around a long time, but that's kind of fun to see. I hope you all will join us. It's going to be a great night. Love to see this thing filled to capacity with many of our Rotarians. Let's have a great night together and really have some fellowship to see some great things being done in our community. You're going to love the fact that if you haven't, that you've discovered Taproot. It's an undiscovered gem in the professional theater world in Seattle. That's it. I'll stop talking.
Thank you. Thanks, John. And thank you, Lori and Jeremy. It sounds like this is going to be a fabulous program. Please remember to register, get online, register, and bring your family and bring your friends. It's going to be a great evening. So today is our final daytime program focused on public safety. In a healthy community, Safety is not just about buildings and barriers. It's about smart planning, good policies, and being ready when things don't go as planned. We are very pleased to welcome Captain Dan Nelson with us today. Captain Nelson is leading safety and security planning for the 2026 FIFA World Cup here in Seattle. So yes, he is already thinking about things most of us hope will never happen. Captain Nelson has spent 20 years with the Seattle Police Department, working everywhere from patrol to crisis response to large-scale event planning. He helped launch Seattle Police Department's first crisis co-responder team, served as the department's first crisis intervention coordinator, and later led planning for major community events and emergency management. He was promoted to captain in 2023, and he also led safety planning for the Seattle matches during the 2025 FIFA World Cup. And now he's going to be bringing that experience to the World Cup coming our way in June. Known for his calm and people-centered leadership and expertise in de-escalation and crisis response, Captain Nelson is exactly the person you want planning for moments of high energy and high stakes. Please join me in welcoming Captain Dan Nelson to Seattle 4. Captain Nelson?
Well, thank you very much. Wonderful introduction. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all. There is a lot of information. And so my goal here today is just to give you an overview of our approach and some things that we're considering. And then again, at the end, I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. Again, this is a very, very big event. And so I'm sure that some of you will have questions. So there'll be time for that at the end. So with that, I'm going to share my screen and pull up a presentation that I made for this. And just someone give me a thumbs up. Can you see that?
We got it.
Dynamite, dynamite. Okay. So again, my name is Captain Dan Nelson. That's my email. And then there's going to be a QR code on the last slide. So you can just scan it with your phone. So you'll have my email and my phone number and all that kind of good stuff. And really, I have been working on this project for about 3 years at different levels, kind of working through this. So there's been an awful lot of time and effort put into planning it. So real quick overview. So this year's tournament is a total of 48 national teams. So that's 50% larger than any previous World Cup. So when in 2022 and it was in Qatar, there was 32 teams. So again, 50% larger. So there are 16 host cities in the United States, Mexico, and Canada. The United States has 11 host cities. Mexico has 3, and Canada has 2. Geographically, the host cities are grouped into a western region, a mid region, and then an eastern region. The Seattle region is anticipated to have an additional 750,000 visitors to our region during the duration of the World Cup. And that's on top of, because again, you'll see that the tournament dates are June 11th through June 19th. So that's during our kind of beginning of our peak tourist season with all the cruise ships and everything else. So the 750,000 people is in addition to that. So it is going to be extremely busy and crowded in Seattle and the surrounding region. The tournament kicks off on June 11th in Mexico. So the first 2 matches are in Mexico City and Guadalajara. And then the final match is on July 19th, and that is in New York, New Jersey. Here locally, we're going to have 6 matches in Seattle. Here's the schedule. So our team draw for our group was held on December 5th. And in our group, we had Belgium, Egypt, Iran, and New Zealand. Unfortunately, we don't have a New Zealand match here, which is kind of funny. But anyway, so our first, and then a day later, based on the draw for the groups, they came up with the schedule and the matchups. So our first match on June 15th will be Belgium versus Egypt. and that is a game starts at noon. The second match is the U.S. men's national team in Australia. So that's going to be a very well attended match, again with a noon start time. And that's also Juneteenth. And so just flag that for everybody. So there'll be some Juneteenth activations around the space during the programming. The third match is Qatar versus a team that still has not been decided. So there are still some nations that are qualifying for the World Cup. And my understanding is that last spot will be decided sometime in March. So Qatar will be playing that team on June 24th. And that also is a 12 o'clock start time. And then our last group stage match is Iran versus Egypt. I'm sure you all saw some publicity about that. Obviously, that's going to be on Friday, June 26th. It is an 8 p.m. start time. And it is our local organizing committee, our community is designating that as our Pride match, obviously, as it immediately precedes our Pride weekend here in Seattle. So a little bit of um, conflict, I guess, with some of the participating countries. They have different views around inclusion of LGBTQ. So we are anticipating a fairly large protest for that match, a pro LGBTQ protest for that match. So we are preparing accordingly for that. Moving on to the elimination rounds. So we'll have a round of 32 on July 1st. And again, dependent on tournament play, will determine who is in that match. That starts at 1 o'clock p.m. And then our final match, the round of 16, that will be on July 6th, and that has a 5 o'clock p.m. start time. And again, depending on tournament play. However, I do know if the U.S. men's national team does very well and wins through, we will be hosting them in the round of 16, which could be very exciting for us locally. But they haven't been playing that great, so I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We'll be hopeful. Um, Okay, so we have venues. You know, when people think FIFA, they think everything is going to be at Lumen Field, but actually there's quite a bit other impacts to our city. And also just for everyone's awareness, all of the corporate branding for all of the arenas across the tournament are going to be renamed for the city. So again, ours is Lumen Field. It'll actually be called Seattle Stadium, just like LA's will be called LA Stadium, Dallas will be Dallas Stadium. So if you hear Seattle Stadium in the news, that's what they're just referring to Lumen Field. So that's where all the matches are going to be held. The Seattle Center will be a site. We're going to have a diffuse crowd experience model across the city. One of the main spots will be at the Seattle Center, but we're also planning activations in the downtown core. And again, the details on those are still being finalized, but you'll see a bunch of like more micro activations in that space. We have two training facilities in Seattle. One of them is up at the University of Washington in their practice facility. And the University of Washington Police Department is taking lead on that, and we're doing our best to support them with any gaps that they have. And then secondly, Seattle University, their pitch has been identified as a practice facility, a training facility. So we might have some teams going up there to practice on non-game days. Team base camps. So in Washington State, there are two proposed team base camps. One of them is just in Renton, and that's Long Acres. That's the Sounders' new facility, which, from what I understand, is the nicest venue or the nicest team base camp in the tournament. So it's very, very popular. So I don't know who's going to get it, but a bunch of teams have applied for that space. And then the second one is at Gonzaga University in Spokane. So that's an alternate. We have, again, 48 teams. We have like 65 team base camps. So not all of them will be filled. There will be some extra left over. So we'll wait and see. All the teams should have made their selections for the team base camps by the end of January, and then they'll be making announcements. FIFA will be making announcements at the beginning of February. So probably next week we'll know who is staying in Renton and who's staying in Spokane if someone selected Spokane. Hotels. So teams need to have somewhere to sleep. So we have 4 team hotels in the city. We have Hyatt All 8, the Renaissance, uh, the guy used to have these, the Westin and the Fairmont. So those are the 4 team hotels. If I go back to um, the the schedule here, you'll see. So contractually, all the teams have to be here 2 days before their match starts, right? So you got the second week here where you have a game, a day down, and then another game. So we'll actually have 4 different countries in the city at one time. So we'll have all four hotels going at that time. And additionally, across, and we're the only region to do this, we'll have 9 fan activation zones across the state. So that's unique to the state of Washington. Um, so here's where all the fan activation zones are. And so the idea is to create local opportunities for those communities to enjoy FIFA, celebrate FIFA, without having to charge all the way into the city to do so. And so we've been working with those event planners and police departments to kind of share our approach and answer any questions that they may have with what to expect and contingency planning. So um, so overall, our security strategies, obviously the big threat and risk with large international sporting events is that of crowd crush. I'm sure you're all familiar with, large soccer tournaments, football tournaments in the past, and you have these late arriving crowds all rushing the gate at the same time, trying to fight their way through. So, um, for those of you who are familiar with Lumen Field, just to let you know, it's going to look a little bit different than what you're used to. There's going to be a large fence, 10-foot anti-climb fence around the exterior of the property, and then different types of line queues. And so traditionally, if you think about a normal stadium entrance here in the United States, you have a big mass of people, and they all kind of funnel through the ticket area, and then they open back out into the venue. What we're doing is for FIFA is we're going to have more Disneyland style queues where it's laterally back and forth, and that does a lot in regards to redirecting crowd energies away from again that point of ingress. And so and then additionally at the stadiums they're bringing in high capacity, high throughput metal detectors, and so it's going to be very, very quick getting people through getting through those turnstiles. There's going to be a layered perimeter. So you'll see outside of the stadium, we'll have a lot of anti-vehicle barriers out because our security footprint is going to go to the north. So essentially, about 4 hours prior to a match, there will be no vehicular traffic in our we're referring to it as the last mile. Basically, it's everything south of Yesler from First Avenue east to Second Avenue or Fourth Avenue, depending on where you're at on the map. So that will be a vehicle-free zone. And it's going to be activated. So we're going to have a lot of vendors and restaurants and beer gardens, and there's going to be an absolute pile of police officers everywhere, just to make sure that everyone's safe, assisting with wayfinding, assisting with language services, and all of those different types of things. There is a FIFA app for those of you lucky enough to get a ticket. You'll be required to have a FIFA app, and that's where there's going to be doing a lot of public messaging as far as again, wayfinding, where can you leverage public transit options, what are the available restaurants nearby, different things like that. So that'll be through the FIFA app. And then the Seattle Police Department, several years ago, we created a police outreach and engagement team. We call them POET. They are our dialogue police. And so their job is to work with the crowds and also the fan groups to assist with getting, again, large groups of people through the city and into the stadium safely. They also help in kind of a point of contact for if we do start having some dangerous fan behavior. Those people, because they already have the contacts, have been shown to be very effective to working with crowd organizers to again self-police or at least trying to tamp down those behaviors. Our crowd management is done primarily through our community response group. That was when I was a lieutenant. I had the community response group, and they are our subject matter experts for that. And we have a lot of local partners that assist us with that. So they will be the primary responding group for crowd management type things. Our intel is so FIFA headquarters is in Miami, Florida. That's where all the three-letter agencies are going to be talking about whatever it is they talk about. And we're going to have an International Policing Cooperation Center. And so that is a Intel adjacent coordination center. So think three-letter agencies plus representative from all of the participating nations, plus representatives from all of the host cities. So the state of Washington has 3 seats at the International Policing Cooperation Center. And so the idea is if something happens in Miami with crowd behavior, um, they can discuss it at the IPCC and then they can get it to us real time in Seattle so we can adjust our plans accordingly. Or if we have coordinated drone incursions in one space, we can share it across the network so everyone can modify the responses as appropriate. Additionally, we have our Fusion Center, the Washington State Fusion Center. They are the main conduit of intel from, again, all of the international agencies and intel groups to us and our local partners that we need to consider for planning purposes. And then, Seattle Police Department, we're very excited. We reinvigorated our Real Crime Time Center. And so there'll be a lot of operational awareness coming through those, through investments of closed circuit televisions in the stadium district and things like that. Staffing, obviously everyone knows about, SPD, and we had a lot of attrition over the last couple of years. We're doing great with hiring, which is very encouraging, but we are still reliant on our mutual aid partners. So I put a request out through WASPIC, the Washington Association of Sheriffs and Police Chiefs, requesting mutual aid. I've gotten a tremendous response from agencies across the state. And so we're working with them to figure out how they can assist on what days with what type of resource to kind of patchwork some of our gaps. Additionally, private security, there's going to be an army of private security out there and volunteers that will assist again with wayfinding and guarding fences, doing things that we don't necessarily need a sworn law enforcement officer to do. And then you'll see traffic escorts. There's contractually we have to provide a lot of escorts for all the teams and the referees and all those types of folks. And so you'll see a bunch of team buses, and I guess they're going to be wrapped in the appropriate team imagery or whatever else. So it should be pretty fun to look at. But there'll be traffic operations going on across the entire region. So that is the stadium response for FIFA specifically at the venue, and then also we're referring to the non-venue sites, again, practice facilities and hotels and things like that. Earlier, before the call started, I knew people had questions on human trafficking, so I'm going to talk through that. So it's a multi-layered strategy for that. A lot of it is based around your education piece. And so our fusion centers, the National Fusion Center group is coordinating a lot of trainings, as well as our local organizing committee are doing training efforts for local businesses in Seattle and the region. Obviously, with that many visitors, our vacancy rate in Seattle and across the county is going to be very, very slim. So there's going to be a lot of people, which means there's a lot of opportunity for human trafficking. Internally within SPD, we are accounting for that, and we are planning a lot of extra emphasis, specifically trying to identify human trafficking efforts. So we're making investments in technology, and again, coordinating with our regional and state partners.
Can you tell us more about that? Can you tell us more about that? About the efforts that you're making to maybe put out signage to warn people in buses, stations, and in hotels and in restaurants and everywhere, and so that people are more aware of it. And we also have some T-shirts being made. And will you allow your people to wear those T-shirts if we distribute them to you?
Yeah. So again, all of the public-facing, business-facing efforts are being led by our local organizing committee, which is it's not a governmental function. It's basically they're assisting with planning. I guess I'm having a hard time. So they're kind of the go-between between the cities and FIFA and the federal government. So they're helping facilitate a lot of different things. And so they're organizing a lot of those community outreaches and business outreach efforts. So they're owning that bit. As far as the t-shirts, no, we need to have all of our people in our uniform so they're easily identified as law enforcement officers, just so people need to know where to go if they need help.
Thank you for that talk. So we have quite a few questions in the chat here.
Yeah.
And regarding the rest of Nancy's question there, she said, will signage be posted with the warnings against falling for traffickers' lures, and where to report suspicious activity?
Yeah, I believe there is a signage component of the public education piece. And as far as reporting it, and 911 works. Again, just call 911. We have folks who will triage it and we'll get it to where it needs to go, especially if it's in progress. 911 is the appropriate way to report any of that stuff.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
We have lots of questions about ICE, of course, and how are the efforts of SPD interacting with ICE requirements that are planned? And we don't know what's going to unfold, of course. And given the recent murders by ICE and their partners, are there any safety plans in place to counteract any escalations by ICE here locally?
Yeah, so just to restamp this, so SPD, City of Seattle, and the state of Washington has rules and laws that keep Washington Working Act, like specifically prohibiting us from assisting ICE or any immigration efforts. And so, and that includes down to, hey, SPD, we'd like to use a parking lot to stage before we do a next operation. Our answer is no. We don't facilitate, assist, share information, anything with ICE, period. All stop. Like we don't do it. And as such, because we're not cooperating with them, obviously they're not sharing any of their plans with us. So that's the unfortunate side effect on that. So there's nothing in advance of that we can prepare for, but again, we encourage people, if you are concerned, if you see suspicious behavior or armed people, specifically with masks or anything that raises concern, please call 911. We want to know so we can get resources out there to investigate and see what's going on.
Thank you. We did have the police chief last week, and he did express one of his big accomplishments last year was that we hired so many police officers. And I know this is going to take another big effort. And you did mention that there's sort of a private group that's also going to come in. So as someone asked, is there an opportunity for private security to assist? If you could sort of outline again the different groups that will be helping the city.
Yeah, sure. So obviously we're going to have our local law enforcement, SPD, and we're supported with all of our partners. So the King County Sheriff's Office, the Washington State Patrol, and just a whole bunch of agencies from across the state are going to be coming in. What that's going to look like is you'll see an SPD officer with our patch working alongside, let's say, someone from Tukwila. So a Tukwila police officer, or someone from Spokane Valley Police Department, or someone from Linwood. We're partnering with our folks because our folks understand the area. We know if we can assist with wayfinding and all those different types of things. But again, on top of that, private security is going to be huge. All of that hiring is being done again by a local organizing committee and Lumenfield. And so, and then on top of that, we have a lot of volunteers, community volunteers. So they'll all be in very, very clearly marked T-shirts in that space. So you'll be able to determine who is who.
Okay, and then I'm just adding to that one. So for all those areas that are being pulled from, are you worried about opportunistic crimes coming up because they know that they don't have as many officers in those areas?
Right. So the way the funding goes is it's not a supplanting grant. This is going to get technical, so I apologize on that. So it's not a supplanting grant. So we can't reimburse people for straight time. So all of our mutual aid support, all those officers will be on overtime. And so we're not pulling from like, hey, Tukwila, you got 10 people working today. Give me 5 of them. It's not like that. It's if they have people who are down or off for the day and they want to come work and experience FIFA, that's who are volunteering to work. And again,
experience FIFA. I love it.
Yeah. It's gonna be
quite.
fun. It's gonna be fun.
Oh, that sounds intense. Okay, this is a nice one. What can residents do to make the city welcoming and safe for visitors?
Yeah, this is a tremendous opportunity for our city. I think, the Seattle specifically, the Northwest generally is like the most beautiful place in the world. in the summertime. And we're fortunate enough to have the opportunity globally for everyone to see what an amazing place Seattle is. And so as you're in the community, just be inviting, encourage people to go out and do the shops. If you're business owners, think about like how can I increase my branding? How can I increase my footprint? Can I apply for like additional street use permits? Can I, if I have a restaurant, can I kick it out into the sidewalk a little bit? Investigate all those things because there's going to be a lot of folks visiting Seattle for the first time. And then also, again, this is in the billions with a B as far as viewers go. So think about all the sky shots, all the media pictures. Like Seattle moving forward, this is a real opportunity for us to again showcase our beautiful city. So do whatever you can to activate your space. Again, enjoy the time. It's going to be frustrating at times because there are going to be so many people in the city. Traffic is going to be a nightmare. So I'm sorry for that. But just plan accordingly. If you have employees that, you know, do we really need them in person on match days, or can we like go remote? Maybe I don't know. That's just a decision you need to make. But like, if you're a restaurant or a business, like, well, we might need to hire some more staffing, some temporary staffing to meet the needs. So I encourage you to do it. Look at it. It's going to be a tremendous opportunity, and make those adjustments.
That was going to be my next question about traffic. A lot of us do work downtown, and taking the bus in, is that still going to be the secondary? If you can work from home, great, but the bus routes will all be changed.
Yeah, and I'm happy to report that the Revive I-5 will be on pause, which is very exciting. But I would still rely on public transit. And then again, note the times, right? So most match times start at noon. Gates are opening 3 hours in advance, right? So about 9 o'clock. And so plan accordingly, right? Give yourself some extra time to get there.
Okay, let's see. The next one is for the club World Cup last summer. There were a couple of teams fan groups that marched through downtown, including a couple cars with a country and team flags and banners the evening before their Seattle games. Not sure if they had permits, but they were fun to watch. Will that be allowed through downtown?
Yes, and so that is, again, I mentioned our poet team, our dialogue police. So that's their job. So they're currently liaising with all of those team coordinators. Figure out, okay, on match days, are you guys going to do a fan march? If so, how many people are you anticipating? And then on non-match days, like, do you have any group activations, group activities you're doing? Are you going to do any rallies? If so, where, when, how many people? And then we're working with them to get the permitting and again to make sure that we can support their plans.
Okay. Still have some time here. You're doing great. That's a lot of questions. Let's see. Will you be increasing security for athletes from Iran? And are you concerned about violence around the appearance of the Iranian team when they compete against the Egyptian team?
No, so it's very important that we offer parity for everybody. So what we offer Team USA, for example, has to be the exact same that we're offering to Belgium, Egypt, Iran, anyone who comes into our space, because we want to be equal and equitable with everybody. And so everybody gets the same amount of consideration. As I was mentioning in my presentation, we are planning on a large, probably a pro-LGBTQ demonstration for the Egypt-Iran match. And so we are planning for that. So you'll see a little bit different setup just so we can ensure that we have reasonable space to accommodate everybody so they can all peacefully assemble and exercise their First Amendment rights. So that is like a little bit of a different footprint you'll see out there for that. But yeah, other than that, I'm not doing anything different for anybody.
Okay. A follow-up to the ICE question. Thank you for your service. Curious if not cooperating with ICE really means not coordinating or in contact with ICE.
Yes, that's exactly what that means. We're not talking with ICE, period.
Okay. Someone would like a photo of the t-shirt security extras will be wearing, please.
I don't have that, but I know that their shirts are being made, and the LOC should have those out on their website. If you just type in Seattle FIFA LOC, the LOC's website will pop up, and there is a whole bunch of information on there. Actually, I'll Google it here in the background. I'll drop the link in the chat.
Awesome. Yeah, and I Googled while you were talking the app for Google Play or Apple. So we have that, which has all the schedule for the entire World Cup, but I'm guessing there's a Seattle specific link, which of course there's an app for that, which is nice. And you were very brave to give us your entire contact information. What should we use that for? Because
If you have questions,
really?
honestly, there's things I can talk about, there's things I can't. So if you want to know
Uh-huh.
specifically what are you going to do on the human trafficking, I'm not going to tell you that
Right.
because there's a lot of safety factors with that. But if you just want, questions on general approach, just I'm an open book. You can call me. We can talk about it. If you want to follow up meeting, let me know. I'm happy to jump on a call if it's something more specific than that.
Okay, I think you answered this about security being the same, but as the last two games are to be determined, maybe they're more intense because they're the end. Will security change?
Yeah, I mean a little bit. So we have kind of like the regular risk match and then like a higher risk match, and so
Okay.
operationally it looks the same, but there's just more people, right? So functionally it's going to look very similar. It's just going to be a little bit denser with officers. So again, that'll be more of the USA Australia match will have a kind of higher saturation. The Iran Egypt match, and then again the two knockout matches.
Are you a soccer fan before this, or
No, no.
no?
My sister was very good. She
Okay.
actually made the Olympic development team. I'm a football guy,
Okay.
so not soccer so much. But it's to help me keep everything very objective because
Okay.
I'm working with a bunch of just fanatical soccer people. So I just like, okay, everyone take a breath. We're gonna get through this. So
That is good to keep objective. Yeah, I have a son that plays, but he's 13, and every time they say offsides, I'm like, I have no idea what's going on, and I've asked him to explain it 500 times. I don't get it. I understand football,
yeah.
the other kind of football. So I was at the game on a Saturday, Sunday, and I know a lot of people were scoping it out like this is kind of preparing, and I know it's nothing like it. Can you just explain why everyone is so freaked out? It's the 750,000 in addition to our population on one game, you're saying.
Over the duration, right?
Okay.
So again, given the schedule, FIFA will be in Seattle for a little over 3 weeks. And so
Right.
there's a couple different types of fans that we're going to see. We're going to have some who come to Seattle and they're just going to stay in Seattle. And they're just fans of everybody. They're just here. And we have a lot of local fans that are kind of like that. We have people who are our friends in Qatar are coming in. So they're playing games in Vancouver, BC and San Francisco. Because we're kind of in the middle of both, they're looking to kind of put their fan base in Seattle. But they're going to be traveling a lot, right? So when they're playing in Vancouver, they're going to travel to Vancouver and so on and so forth. So they'll be here, but they won't be here every day, right? And then you'll have again people from overseas who their team is playing a couple different matches here. It's like think Egypt, so they'll probably stay a little bit closer to home and stay here through the duration of the tournament, which is why it's so important to identify again those non-match day programming opportunities for them to engage with. I think people are, you know, rightfully anxious about it because it's just at such a big scale. I mean, I'm talking again billions of eyeballs on it, and there's so much going on. I think and then our infrastructure can only support so much, and so it's definitely going to be stress test during this period.
Sounds amazing. Jan, are you ready to ask
We
some
have a
questions?
Well, we have a question here from Dorothy Bullitt that got missed, and I
Oh,
think
I'm
it's a good
sorry.
one.
It was at the beginning,
If
wasn't
FIFA
it?
decides that the risk to players and their fans is too great in the United States and
Mm.
shifts the Seattle games to Mexico and Canada, will your safety plans be transferable to other large Seattle gatherings?
Absolutely. That's what's great about operational planning is you come up like what's the problem set? What are we solving for? And then how do you approach it? So like we've been hosting Seahawk games and even NFC Championship games is a very large footprint. But and so we take those and then we kind of massage them per event. But something like FIFA has not been done here, given our existing. Obviously, we had the World Fair, we had the a couple other large scale events, but nothing with our existing footprint like this. And so, absolutely, we have the plans. So if we do get picked, let's say for the Women's World Cup, in 2028, right? If we get picked for a Super Bowl at some point, right? Like those larger scale events, like we have a workable plan now, so we will be able to use it for those.
And we have another question from Maria McDaniel. Hi, Maria. Is FIFA larger than the Goodwill Games that occurred in the 1990s or
So
in 1990?
so much. In 1990, I graduated high school in 95. So I think I was like eighth grade.
You were 12.
Yeah. So anyway, it'll be much, much bigger than that. And again, I can't, I can't overstate how many people are going to be in the city. Again, down around again. So it's going to be Lumen Field. Everything north to Yesler is going to be one footprint, and then you're going to have the footprint down the waterfront and downtown core. So it's just going to be massive, 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 massive. It's going to be fun.
I think it's going to be crowded.
Yeah, yeah, it's gonna be packed. It's gonna be packed.
We have a little bit more time if anyone has any other questions. Otherwise, we will wrap this. I don't see any. Well, thank you, Captain Nelson.
Very welcome. Thank you so much.
As a thanks for your participation, our club's foundation, the Seattle Rotary Service Foundation, has provided 600 servings of healthy produce to those in need through Harvest Against Hunger in your name.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. Very generous.
Thanks again to those of you who have donated to the foundation, which allows us to provide this support. There is still time to donate if you have not done so. I also want to thank REB Enterprises and Carl Benke for their support this year. And thanks to Bloodworks Northwest and the Westland Morse Group and Baird Private Wealth Management for their sponsorship support. Nicole, do we have some announcements?
Hi, everybody. You get to hear from me again. So Wednesday, February 4th, we have a lunch meeting at the Motif Hotel with Eduardo Penalver, who will be our Seattle University president, who was recently named Georgetown University president. We get a last chance to see him before he leaves. Then after that, we have the boat show. So that evening, we still have tickets available. So David Bobanek, his email's up there. If you want to go buy a boat or look at people that might want to buy a boat, it's a fun event and it's free if you want to go. Sunday, February 8th, tour of the More We Love at 1 p.m. You can RSVP directly to the email on the screen. Virginia McKenzie is planning this. Event info is also going to be in the club newsletter. Tuesday, February 10th, that's the event we hyped up at the beginning. Hopefully you know more and you're excited to go. It's $20, 5 p.m. at the Taproot Theater. It'll be entirely for us, and we're excited that you are going to go. Okay, the next one, Wednesday, February 18th, is our lunch meeting at the WAC with Washington State Schools Superintendent Chris Reichdahl. We round out our Person and Education Month meetings with the current Washington State Superintendent back here at the WAC, which I'm not there right now, on February 18th. We wrap the month with a Zoom-only meeting, Voices from Our Schools, moderated by Eric Corman. So that's the whole next month.
Thank you, Nicole. As we wrap up our focus on public safety, it's worth acknowledging the moment we're in. We're all seeing the headlines from Minneapolis and other cities. It's terrifying. And it's natural to wonder what these events are going to mean for Seattle, especially as we look ahead to hosting the World Cup. Big events like this bring big excitement, energy, and pride, but they also require very serious planning and coordination in order to keep people safe. Today's conversation and all of your questions remind us that public safety doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of thoughtful preparation, strong partnerships, and leaders like Captain Nelson, who plan for the unexpected so that the rest of us can focus on enjoying the moment. Whether it's a neighborhood festival or a global event like the World Cup, safety is built through communication, trust, and a commitment to caring for both people and place. Like all of you, I care deeply about this city. I grew up here. Hosting the world is an opportunity to show not just who we are, but how we can work together to keep our community safe and welcoming. Thank you to those who work at this every single day, often behind the scenes. And thank you all for being a part of a city that takes its safety seriously while still believing in possibility. Once again, thank you all for joining us. Thank you, Captain Nelson and the whole Seattle Police Department. I hope to see you all at the Motif Hotel on February 4th when we begin our month on education with Eduardo Penalver, current president of Seattle University. And I'm going to give you a whole 9 minutes back to your schedule. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.